What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got a couple of very cool duels for you guys to check out, including the first duel that was very impressive. It features the Tenyi archetype, and I think this is the first time I've had Tenyi on my channel, but this deck is coming out in Rising Rampage, so we will see it after essentially national season. I think it's going to be late July for the TCG, and I'm very excited about this archetype because it's been a little while since we've got a strong worm archetype. I know that Metaphys were from Circuit Break, and they weren't really like meta or anything like this, but I think that this archetype does have a chance to be meta, and it revolves around using non-effect monsters and basically just kind of having so many different amazing utility effects. Basically all the monsters can special summon themselves as long as you control no effect monsters, which is kind of nice. And the deck is it's worm based, and you can use things like Mare in the deck, which is super cool. But you guys are going to see his opponent is going to make a particularly strong turn one board, and he's going to make strong plays throughout the course of this duel, but it's really not going to matter all that much. So we all know Miko, pretty much just like a dinosaur, just staple play. He is going to try to set up for the true king of all calamities, and he's going to back that up with the Overtext. This is essentially stopping all monster effects, and then also has some spell and trap negation. Plus, when Overtext goes to the graveyard, he would be able to search another copy of double evolution pills. So this is the type of field that will generally beat decks like Salamangreat, Thunder Dragons, Orcus variants. Basically, you activate True King of all calamities during the standby phase or the draw phase or something like that. Your opponent ain't getting to play no Yu-Gi-Oh! But against this deck in particular, True King of all calamities doesn't really do anything. Like, this deck can play so well because it can play from the hand and from the graveyard. So he's going to activate True King of all calamities. He's going to call Divine Attribute because nobody plays Divine cards except the Raw Spear mode. But it's perfectly fine. He can just special summon the Win one because he has no effect monsters, no problem. He goes straight into the Link one. Now he's going to activate the Dark Tenyi from his hand. And the thing is, even though True King of all calamities is active, it only stops monster effects on the field. It doesn't stop monster effects that activate in your hand or effects that activate specifically in your graveyard. Now this guy right here, it allows you to just bounce one of your opponent's monsters, and he's doing this to bounce the Overtext so that he can actually, activate spells and traps. So he's getting rid of one of the boss monsters, no problem. Now he's going to activate the Foolish Burial. That also has a Rhoda effect built into it. This card is nuts. Thank goodness it's a hard once per turn. He's going to go ahead and just special summon another one. Then he's going to normal summon. He's going straight to my man Monkey D. Luffy. If you guys don't know, my favorite anime of all time is One Piece. And he already has a 3000 beater on the field. Most decks would not be able to drop a Link 3 if they were locked out of monster effects. Well, monster effects in your possession. Now, he can't actually attack, so that's really kind of an issue. But it's fine because he established a board. Plus, he's going to use the light one to summon a monster from his deck, so that's perfectly fine. Just trying to set up a little more defense outside of just his big beater. Now his opponent, he is going to fire back. He's going to go ahead and search with Oviraptor, gets Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, but he's not done. He's going to pop his Overtext, and that means he can get double evolution pill. Now he can drop a second Conductor Tyranno. Now you guys are thinking, Cap, he's done for. It's over. GG, no re, you scrub, because my man's got True King of all calamities. He still has the beat comp and 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. He can't survive that, right? You'd be surprised, man. He is going to attack, but he's going to activate the Wind Tenyi from his graveyard. This means that the attacking Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is going to lose 1500 attack. I thought that some of these graveyard effects were not that great, but dude, they're really, really good. He is finally going to take down the Tenyi Link 3, but it's perfectly fine because now he's just going to activate the water one from the graveyard. This means it's coming right back to the field, and he gets to destroy a monster, which I'm guessing is probably going to be Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. So he's going to pop that, and just like that, he survived another assault by his opponent. Now he does finally wise up, and he realizes that he's getting killed by these graveyard effects, so he goes into Abyss Dweller, and I guess he's hoping, look, if I lock down this guy's graveyard, I think I can just outgrind him at that point. He is going to use again calamities to make sure he can't attack, but unfortunately he did have another copy of the Dark Tenyi in his hand. This means he can just bounce Conductor Tyranno again, or excuse me, he can bounce True King of all calamities. He doesn't get a battle phase, and he is going to go for Nightmare Unicorn, looking to finally out this damn Tenyi monster, but nope, he has even more protection, man. It's like it's too much protection. He's going to activate the fire one from his hand. That is essentially targeting protection, but it also destroys the monster. This means Unicorn dies, and he just loses the game. He ends up scooping it up. I love it, man. This guy was able to essentially just make one monster, to make the Fierce Ogre of Tenyi, one big boss monster, and then he just used so many different utility effects to protect that boss monster from everything from Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to Nightmare Unicorn, and this one monster single-handedly won Tenyi the duel. And again, this archetype is getting more support, not just, well, it's premiering in Rising Rampage, but it's getting more support in Chaos Impact. It's getting a awesome synchro monster. So yeah, you know, Tenyi can definitely do a whole lot of work. And let's pause right quick and check out what the deck looks like on paper. Okay, so this is what the deck looks like on paper, and you know, Tenyi remind me very much of like Yang Zing, not just because their attributes are all over the place, same thing kind of goes with their levels, but the way the cards kind of look, and obviously their typing and stuff like that. You know, Tenyis as an archetype are basically just kind of like hand trap and you know, graveyard the deck. I like it because even with the opponent going for something like Abyss Dweller in that duel, a lot of these Tenyi kind of utility effects, like the win one kind of being a pseudo battle trap that makes it so your opponent's monster loses 1500 attack, like, you know, the fire one being targeting protection, the water one making it so you can revive one of your Tenyi monsters from the graveyard. These can all activate from the hand as well. So if your opponent tries to go all, you know, I'm gonna lock out your graveyard or something like that by going with Abyss Dweller or something, you can still just activate these cards as hand traps, and there's really not much that your opponent can do about that. I do think that some of these cards are actually pretty good. Like, I think that Burial from a Different Dimension, it seems like a pretty interesting card in Tenyi. If you can get the deck rolling fast enough to where you really are loading up your graveyard pretty quickly, and then you're banishing from your graveyard, or I guess even if you are activating them as hand traps where you need to banish them, this can kind of just put them all back in your graveyard, and you can just reuse their utility effects, because the deck does have one way of recycling. The Earth Tenyi monster does recycle your banished Tenyi monsters, which is fine, but it is only one monster in the archetype. I do believe that Waterfall of the Dragon Souls, I think this is going to be pretty staple in the deck, because it is essentially reinforcement of the army for the worm type in Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, you can pop worm monsters in your hand, draw a bunch of cards, and again, if you're popping these guys and then you're activating them from the graveyard, you're basically losing out on nothing. Tenyi does have kind of a little bit of a watered down Infernity Barrier. It does require you to have a face-up non-effect monster, but it is basically Infernity Barrier. So I would recommend that you run the card, because I think that just, you know, Infernity Barriers are just way too good in Yu-Gi-Oh! It doesn't destroy the card, but it does negate activation. So if you use it against a regular spell, trap, or, you know, a hand trap or something like that, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Some of these cards I probably would not run are like Swords of Revealing Light, Field Barrier. I do get that their field spell is nuts, because if your opponent special summons and you have a non-effect monster on the field, then you get to like draw 2 cards, and I believe it also makes your non-effect monsters like unaffected by monster effects, which is it's nuts, because it makes it really difficult to get this guy off the field when he's unaffected by monster effects, and then everything else your opponent throws at it, like targeting and stuff, you're just like, no, activate this to protect. So I do believe Tenyi is a really cool deck. I mean, I think it'll probably be like tier 2, and you know, maybe we'll see it. I think it'll do well on the regional level. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the short duel and the deck profile. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.